China Rookery. It's chicken tonight. Hey folks. So you can see the chicks are very chicken-like now. They have grown quite a lot over the past few days, and just gonna shake their food out a bit. There we go. And they're actually feathering quite well. They are looking a bit scruffy at the moment, and that's just because they're now in that transition phase between being fully feathered and having that little chick fluff going on. So we're just going to wait a few more moments to see if there are any other viewers coming online. But I will actually pick up one of the chicks. Well, half chickens now, I suppose. They are at that teenage stage. And I'll give you a look at the feathers that are growing out. Just gonna go grab some gloves and see if I can't find something to pick them up with. So it now takes me 2 hands to pick up one chick, as opposed to just using one hand. And they are now able to perch. So let me see if I can just get one to come up and perch on my hand. Come on. Come on. There we are. There we are. You see here from Orb that, let me see if I can pull up Orb. You can see right down here, there are little white feather shafts that are growing on Orb's chest. And the wings here on Orb are actually almost fully feathered as well. So there you go. Boop, down you get. The chicks are very rapidly starting to outgrow the brooder. And you can see they're actually... Good gravy. What is going on here? Oh, my skirt's knocking down sawdust. Right. I was wondering what was going on. So yeah, they are rapidly outgrowing the brooder, and we will be taking the plate out today. Now, we received about half of the parts for the chick's future home outside, and we should be receiving the remainder of the outdoor run tomorrow in the morning or afternoon. So we'll be able to put them outside on the weekend. There you go. So what I'm going to do now is that one of the things that chicks like to eat is live food. And they have been having a couple of excursions outdoors. So what I'm going to do now is we went to the pet store the other day to buy some mealworms for the chicks as a treat. So we'll give you a show. There we are, nice live mealworms. And I'm just going to throw the mealworms into the cage, and you can see how predatory the chickens behave. Now, chickens are omnivorous animals. They will eat basically anything that fits in their beaks. So not only will they eat crickets, worms, and other insects, but they will also eat lizards and mice and rats and things. Whatever meat they can get their hands on. So I'm just going to drop this down, and we'll see how good at hunting they are. There we go. They're very excited about the worms. Now I have thrown 20 worms in there, so each of the chicks should have a fair share of meat. So there we go, the feeding frenzy is a little calmer now. They were not really fighting over the worms, as there were plenty of worms for each of the chicks. However, they were running around, chasing each other, and generally just playing with each other. In a sense, because the brooder is so small, there's not very much space for them to find some privacy to eat their food. And I have noticed that particularly when it comes to treats, the chicks really enjoy some privacy to eat their food in. Now, one thing to notice is that their little chicken voices are breaking, so you can see that they are starting to cluck a little. No, I've stopped tossing worms in. They are starting to cluck instead of cheep. So they are making that sort of squawking noise. So if you listen very carefully, you can hear the beginnings of clucking. So this week they have been eating about 40, okay, so the first week they were here, they were eating 20 grams of food per chick per day. This week they are on 40 grams of food per chick per day, and from tomorrow onwards they'll be at 60 grams per chick per day for food. So their food intake is not really growing as exponentially as they are, but we should be starting to see them develop fully into a full chicken-sized animal, and then the speed at which they grow should taper off a little bit. The ball of grit we have in the cage at the moment is still the chick-size shell grit, and we will be going over to the feed supply store to get full-size grit shortly, so that they can have it when they move into their new outdoor cage. We will, however, be removing the brooder plate, as they no longer need the warmer plate to keep them warm. They have actually reached a size where they are able to keep each other warm, and they're quite capable of withstanding the temperatures here. Now, we've had a couple of chilly days, but it doesn't seem like they've been particularly bothered by these, so that's always a good sign. They are using the heater plate as a platform, which is the other reason why we want to remove it, because it's getting a little difficult to clean. So I'm going to see if I can pick up another chick, probably square, and give you a look at the feather shafts growing along the back. Let me see if I can get one of them to come up. They perch really well now, so they actually don't have any problems perching on my hand. So I'll just grab Summery Bar. Come on. Come on, Summer. There we are. And you can see, I'm just going to move the camera over Summer's head, and you can see that along the back... Summer! Sorry. Let me get him now. So you can see here along the back where the blue is, you can see actually there are these white feathers growing out. Sorry about that. Looks like Summery is not really cooperating. But let me see. In any case, they are actually growing the feathers on the back, so they're no longer as soft and fluffy as they used to be. You can actually feel these little pokey feathers coming out of their backs when you pat them. We have decided against clipping their wings, and the reason for this is that the outdoor run that they are going to be living in is actually covered with a roof. So that's mostly to prevent hawks from catching the little chickens, as we do have a number of hawks living in the area. But the other reason for the roof is to stop them from flying out. So we won't have to clip their wings because they won't have anywhere to fly to. Hollandia 93 points out that the chicks' feet are quite huge, and that is actually true. They are actually starting to grow into their full-size feet that they would have as adult chickens, which makes the little perch that I bought for them a little laughable, as it is no longer suitable for their foot size. Not that they were ever particularly interested in roosting on a perch, and you can see the perch is now way too small for them anyway. I use the perch as a handle to shut the middle gate, so it's not a complete loss. So, if there aren't any further questions, I'll leave you guys to watch the chicks for now, and I'll move in and out and answer any further questions that are open on the chat. So enjoy watching the chicks peck about, scratch about, and we'll see you in a bit. Hey, hey, out of there. You're not supposed to stand in the bowl. So yes, we are actually, well, we're hoping we get the new coop tomorrow. What we got today was 2 out of 5 boxes of the coop, which included, I think, some of the supporting poles, a bunch of screws and bolts, and a door. So hopefully tomorrow we'll get the rest of it and we'll be able to put it up together. I'm not sure if we'll be able to provide a time-lapse video of ourselves building the coop, owing to the fact that we don't actually own any particularly good cameras or computers in this house at the moment. But we'll try our best to see what we can get done. asks if the small chicks are eating enough or if they're being bullied away from the food trough. And actually, they are quite able to eat as much as they like, because they come in for food at different times. We do have bigger chicks and smaller chicks, but it's also very important to keep in mind that they are actually growing around the same rate, and that there is a mixture of genders for the chicks. So we do have some male and some female chicks. So not all of them will be the same size. Roosters tend to be much larger than hens. And so it may well be that the difference in sizes is more of a gender base, but we're not seeing too much. Like, we've got one really huge chick in our beautiful boy here, Square, but the rest of them are roughly around the same size in terms of weight, at least. The food is free flowing, so even though I control the amount that goes in, I calculate the weight based on a weekly basis. So I put a week's worth of food in the hopper, and they eat that throughout the week. And so far, we've had fairly consistently got the right estimate. So I'll show you how much is left over for this week. And there's hardly any, but there are leftovers because today is the last day of this lot of food. So I'm going to lift this up here, and you can have a look inside the food hopper. There's barely any left. And that's exactly the amount that they've eaten, is basically what's rationed out for them. So they eat, so I fill it on a weekly basis, as I said. So they do have a free flow of food coming in. Grit is also renewed every day. And the reason for this is that they need to have a sufficient amount of grit that they can self-pick and choose how much they want to eat. I can see what you're thinking there. So yes, while we have one really large boy, the rest of the chicks are more or less the same size. Sorry about that, I got a little carried away for giving them pats. actually, one hilarious thing that we've noticed about the chicks, which has been a recent development, is that nowadays when we turn off the light, they will go to sleep pretty much instantly, as they no longer need to find their way into the chick brooder to keep warm. So they will actually just drop to sleep as soon as the light is cut out. So that's a new development with them. Um, and it's actually a quite of a good development because we can just make sure that they are a bed as soon as we turn out the light. Oswald asks if the chicken were in a normal Australian meat farm, how they would be housed. Now, it really depends on the kind of chicken farm we're talking about. There are several different guidelines for how to house chickens, but most likely, if the chickens were in a normal farm, they would be housed, they would start by being housed in a large pen that is a brooder that is similar to this. Um, to keep them warm as chicks. Um, there are actually rules in which chickens are required to have a certain amount of access to space, but they would not actually necessarily go outside or have much time to scratch around outside. So it really depends on what kind of uh, level of ruling you want to go for. So the RSPCA guidelines, for example, do allow the chicks to be stacked a little bit. And I'm just going to pull up so most of the farms in Australia would be RSPCA approved, so they would need to provide a good quality litter like here, adequate space for the chicks to move, and appropriate lighting. But they won't necessarily be put outside or even on grass for that matter. A lot of them would be kept indoors and sort of bred uh, in a sort of a facility, a shed sort of facility. Um, in general, the chickens in Australia would be on a density that allows them to run. So I think it's about a, let me see. Sorry, I don't fully know exactly how much space there. I don't have the guidelines on me at the moment. But yeah, they would basically have about 2.7 meters of perch space, and every 1,000 birds would have one object that they could play with. There are no legal requirements to provide any enrichment to the hens, so toys like the perch or the ball would not be provided to them necessarily. They would have about 5 centimeters of litter, which is that, and they do need to have about 6 hours of darkness at night. So they may not necessarily have the same day and night cycle as the animals that we have here would have, and that's just partially because if there is light, they will eat, and if they eat, they will get fatter. Whereas that is not necessarily the best thing for the chicken's health, but you know, people do like a plump hen. So one of the other things to note with the way that chicks are raised in Australia is that stocking density, which is the number of animals you have per every meter square, is done by calculating the weight of the birds. So in Australia, the legal maximum density is about 40 kilograms per meter square, which means that you'd have about 10 chickens, roughly about 10 chickens for every square meter of space. So that's not a lot of space for the chickens to really run around in. So they would be actually housed quite tightly. I'm just going to pull up some information on RSPCA farming methods, and basically most places in Australia actually are required to be assessed by like most places would require an assessment to make sure that the animals on the farm are being treated well. So here are the guidelines, and I'm just going to pop it here, and you can take a look as to how chickens are allowed to be housed here in Australia. So we're coming to the end of our time together. So from all of us here at the Ragnar Rookery, we wish you all a good night. And we hope that you guys continue to be safe and keep healthy, especially in this difficult time of COVID. So from us to you, good night and see you tomorrow. Goodbye.